All right. Check 1, 2. Hopefully everything is up and running. We are back again for episode I don't know what of the Tight Splice Charters podcast. Captain Cody Davis here as always with you guys after being away on a hiatus for a few weeks or a month, or I really can't even tell you the last time I posted a video. I really don't know. It's been long enough to where you guys are texting me to check up on things and make sure I'm okay, make sure I'm alive, make sure the family's good, and ask me when the next video is coming out. And to be truthful, I really have no idea, guys. We'll get into that here in a minute. Kind of what's been going on. I had grand plans to create some content and some fishing videos, and that just didn't work out. So realistically, the next fishing content I think you're going to see is probably going to be the Toyota series, practice and everything. But we'll get into that here in a minute. Before we do, I just want to first shout out and say this video is solely sponsored by Woodford Reserve Bourbon. And what I mean by sponsored is I had a customer the other day by the name of Joey who came and fished with me and worked in the distillery and was nice enough to bring me a bottle of their double oaked. I don't know. I guess that's that special version of it. It's delicious. It's great stuff. For those of you that don't know, I am obsessed with the history, the labeling, the bottling, the process of good bourbon and whiskey. And by when I say obsessed, I know absolutely nothing about it. But I mean, I just love hearing about the history and everything and the process. It's super cool. So it was awesome to have him on the boat and his buddies and just talk about it. And this stuff's delicious. It's great. It's super smooth. And like I said, I want to know more about all of this stuff. So it was super interesting to pick his brain. So if you're listening there, Joey, cheers. And hopefully you guys had a better week on Okeechobee after following our trip than we did that day on the water, because I know it was a total grind and very difficult out there that day. But I definitely appreciate this gift here. I like gifts like that. Super cool. But anyway, guys, yeah, I mean, just to catch you guys up, I've been working. Literally been on the water every single day. You guys follow me on social media. You guys know that. I'm not the best, like, poster every dayer. I know a lot of the guides post sunrise pictures and things showing they're working. And I know there's a big point in doing that. It's because the algorithm helps more people see your pages. And I just don't do that. I don't know. I want to. It's not that I feel like I'm too good for it or anything. I'm really bad about it. Breezy yells at me all the time. I'll just feel like I'll either post when we catch a big one, or I forget to post, and then it's like, oh, here's a photo dump from the past 3 weeks, or I hold the photos because we're in an area that I don't want people to know where I'm at, and it's always different. But just know I've been out there every day. I've been fishing. And then, when I get home, it's just been super busy. We just had a baby donkey born like 2 days ago, dividing animals, feeding animals, selling animals, getting rid of stuff. We're downsizing, taking care of the house, just with the baby. Got a lot going on. And I planned on doing some fishing, but that didn't work out. For instance, like, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, I had a last minute cancellation, or, someone had to cancel a few days before. I looked, it was a Saturday. There was a Bass Busters event. Breezy was off. I said, hey, we're fishing this tournament. She hadn't been on the lake since September, since that tournament we won. That was the last time she's been on the lake. We don't get to fish together at all. I wanted to fish an event, wanted to fish with her. It was a good excuse to film. Called my parents, gave them an excuse to come up, watch the baby, do some babysitting. Everything worked out perfect. And lo and behold, I came down with the stomach virus yet again. Had a trip the day before, felt off, felt weak, felt very, very weak, very run down. Told my customer I apologize. Like, I wasn't mentally sharp. I wasn't there. I wasn't myself. And I got home, took a nap, ate some food, got the boat ready, re-rigged all the rods. I'm like, okay, I feel better. And then went to bed early. Went to bed at 7:00 and woke up at 11, just puking everything I've ever eaten since I was 8 out again, until 3:30, to the point where I finally just turned my alarm off and I told Breezy, like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to fish. Which, if you guys know me, I was just feeling awful, and I was awful for 2 days. Or the next day following, I finally felt a little bit better. Thankfully, I had another trip, repeats from Pennsylvania, and went to where I was going to fish the event, and we caught some nice fish. Now we didn't catch a lot, but the size was there, so that made me. It was great for them. I'm glad they finally caught some big ones. Catching them on a spook, super fun. But I was like, man, I told Breezy, like, man, we might have done very good yesterday. But who knows? It was super windy the tournament day. Still took 24 or just under 25 pounds to win. But I don't know. I wanted to be out there. I wanted to fish with her. And then, like I said, it would have been content for you guys. Definitely would have made a video out of it, no matter how it turned out. But that's just how my luck's been going. Another thing of bad luck I'll tell you guys about. Repeat of mine, my buddy Garrett. I was supposed to take him and his two sons shiner fishing on Saturday. So Friday night comes. My sister-in-law, Breezy's sister, Breezy brought Lake to her sister. Breezy's sister said, "I want nephew time. Her and her kids were going to a rodeo. We're going to the rodeo with the kids. Let us take Lake. Let us hang out. We'll keep him for the night. Babysit, take him there, hang out." And me and Breezy have never been apart from him yet at night, or had a night away from him yet. So she said, okay, brought the baby to him. She comes home, cooked an awesome steak dinner. We were going to go snook fishing. We were going to just go out and do something. And I make these badass steaks, make a great dinner. I'm so excited. The steaks came out awesome. And they came out a little bit too awesome because I was so excited to eat them. I forgot to chew. And I literally had a piece of steak stuck in my esophagus and could breathe, thankfully. But like, picture this glass and pouring water in it. It would just fill up and overflow out of my mouth. Like I was trying to force it down and it was lodged. It was stuck. I tried everything. And this was at 7:30, 11:30 in the morning. At night, I'm still stuck there. I'm uncomfortable. You have to swallow. So I'm just swallowing saliva to the point where it's like overflowing out of my mouth and I'm gagging. I had to cancel a trip. I had to cancel with Garrett and I had to tell him, listen, like, I'll explain later what's wrong with me, but I have a medical issue that I'm not going to go to. I can't drink water. I can't go out in 90-degree heat, dehydrated, possibly choking. So I'm laying in bed. I'm sitting up. I'm not sleeping because I'm scared to sleep. What if I choke? And at 4:30 in the morning, I come out and take a swig of ginger ale, and it sounded like someone popped bubble wrap in my throat, like right here. It just went, and it moved, and it drained, and crazy. I mean, I've just had the worst run of bad luck. So that's 4 a.m. 4 a.m. I end up waking up. We don't have the baby, so we sleep till like 11, which felt great. Had a day off. We went and ran some errands in the afternoon, but just crazy. My chest is still sore. My stomach's, I mean, just an odd thing. I've been having the worst run of bad luck as of late. So I get behind, like, people texting me about what have you. Don't be offended, and please don't think that like I don't care to text you back. I have said it numerous times. I'm not a multitasker at all. I'm terrible at it. So, like, even if you just text me a question, if I'm sick or down and out or something's wrong with me, I'll just like put it aside for a while till I have time to sit down and go over things. And I felt bad. I was like, Garrett, I hate to tell you this, but I don't know how to explain it to you, but I have food lodged in my throat and I can't drink or eat anything. Needless to say, when we went to West Palm the next morning to go run errands, I was off, obviously. I took the day off, so went with Breezy to help her out with some stuff. I tore up some biscuits and gravy because I was starving because I hadn't eaten in 24 hours. So that's how my luck's been going. Haven't been able to fish. When I do get to fish, something comes up. And now, as far as working, I've been working every day, and it's been great. I've had awesome people on the boat. It's just been it's been awesome. The fishing's been hit and miss. It's definitely been a grind, but it's because we're in that transition. the lake is still fishing small, but there's things starting to open up, in my opinion. Uh, FWC is still doing a fantastic job of just nuking this place. One of the most popular areas on the lake over the past 3 months. I mean, when I say nuked it, I mean it's pretty disgusting what they're doing. I mean, just dead reeds, cattails, as far as you can see in that area now, and yeah, it's terrible. I really don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, things are starting to open up. Water's starting to clean because the water's dropping. But I'm not really sure kind of what needs to happen to get these people to stop this spraying. I really don't. And I don't want to go off on it too much, but it needs to be said. You know, the lake looks good as far as, like I've said it before on my last rant. The lake looks good on paper, but it could be so much better. And it's like, I just don't know. When they're literally spraying the area of the lake that we call the dead shit, I mean, there's literally nothing living. There's nothing green in this area, and they're spraying, and then they're spraying the stuff that is beautiful. I'm not gonna, well, around Horse Island, Worm Cove, they've just nuked that the other day, and I don't know. Everyone claims to know everything, and I'm not that guy, but I feel like FWC subcontracts out that permit to applied aquatics to spray the lake. And I feel like somebody in FWC is related to or in bed or knows whoever who owns Applied Aquatics and gives them that contract every year and goes to fight, what's the word? Goes to war, goes to whatever, to convince the state that the lake needs this much attention, needs this much money, needs this much chemical to spray, and needs this much funding, which it doesn't. Now, here's the deal. Anyone who has any common sense knows there is a need for spraying on Okeechobee. Okay, certain areas, certain things, there is. You can't say there's not, because they're going to discredit anything you say. You got to be very smart about how we word it. There is a need to spray and control water hyacinth and what have you in certain areas, like the boat ramp basins. All right. If Clewiston Channel is clogged with hyacinth, yes, go spray Clewiston Channel. The rim ditch. Okay. If the rim ditch is getting clogged, go spray that. But what these guys are doing is just making sure they use that chemical so that they get that quota at the end of the year for that millions of dollars, that check for the company. I'm sure that their orders from their bosses in these airboats do not come back with chemical. That's it. And they can't tell me otherwise that that's not what it is, because I've got them on video pulling the plugs on their tank, letting it out in the water, and it's awful. And here's the deal. Like, they could say all they want that the chemicals only kill the unnative plants. And part of me thinks that's bullshit, and part of me thinks it could be true. But what happens, those cattails are what's holding the non-native plants, the hyacinth. It holds it. The wind blows it up against these cattails and makes a mat, which we love to fish. But I get it. At the end of the day, it's not supposed to be in Lake Okeechobee, right? So they spray it. But they're spraying those cattails along with the hyacinth. And even if they tell you that the chemicals do not kill the cattails, you can't tell me that the decaying mass of hyacinths on that spot sinking to the bottom and covering the root system of those cattails is not going to prevent sunlight from hitting the cattail roots and killing them that way. So either way, it's not good. I think I said it on my last rant. Don't ever think that I think, the lake's fine. It's not. It's definitely going away from us. It's terrible. As for now, the lake is fishing. The big ones are still in here and things, but I just don't know what it's going to take for them to stop. What this lake needs more than anything is a severe, severe drought. Severe. And we're close to it now. We're getting a cold front right now. We got our first drizzle of rain since Christmas. It is the driest it's been out here in as far as I can remember. I can't even mow my lawn. You turn the mower on and just dust and soot. You guys that have fished with me over the past month have seen my boat. There's no point in cleaning my boat. The dust and the sugarcane ash and the soot, you can't keep it clean. I apologize to everybody when they get in my boat. I apologize that the boat's so dirty. I'm not lazy. I love a clean boat, but it's stupid. It's a waste of time. My precious time that I have, I'm not taking an hour to clean my boat, and by the time it's dry and I go to back it back in, it's already black again. So that's why my boat's been dirty. But we need a drought. Uh, that's the only thing that's going to prevent them airboats being able to get out there and spray, as well as it's going to help bring back a lot of the grass and cattails and good areas. It's going to cook off that muck on the bottom. But we'll see if that's in the plans. The Army Corps of Engineers wants to keep the lake at a much higher level anymore, which I think is bullshit also. But it's just these people don't know what they're doing. You know, I don't know everything, but there's an agenda. There's a biased agenda with everything that human beings do anymore. And here's the other thing, right? We have like a civil war going on here in the state, and I've said it before on past videos, with the coast people versus the inland people. The people on the coast absolutely despise this lake. And then the people on the lake kind of despise people on the coast because they bitch about our water going. And I get both sides. I do. And here's the deal. Like, everyone around the lake's like, these people don't understand how much money Lake Okeechobee brings in economically to the state. All these people traveling here, vacationing here to come fish Lake Okeechobee. And that is true. It's true. But the amount of income that Lake Okeechobee sees for the state within a whole year, from January through December, is what the beaches make in 2 hours a day. All right. So they don't give a damn about Lake Okeechobee. The state does not care. DeSantis could care less. Now, we all know they should, okay, because it's a natural resource. It's a natural lake. This lake means more to me than most people know. I owe this lake so many things in my life, and it's done so much for me. And it's a very special place, but everything comes down to money. So yeah, everybody comes down here and winters down here and crappie fishes and does all that. Like I said, the state's going to make that on the coasts in an hour, between restaurants, parking, beach fare. I live on the beach. Okay, I'm from Deerfield Beach. I skateboarded to the beach every day. I know how it happens, and that's all they care about, which is awful. But I'm a realistic person. That's why I truly think, like, all these shares on Facebook, all these shares, these videos, these complaining about FWC, us tagging FWC, they're calling them criminals and stuff. It doesn't matter. A big part of me really thinks that their main objective is to kill this lake. They want to kill the lake. And when I mean kill it, I mean nuke it, high water. There's no grass. The water, it's a mud hole. And they want it that way, so that way there's no repercussions. It has no more value to anybody. To me, to any of you watching it, to us tournament fishermen that love this lake. We don't love it anymore. You already see it. I mean, half of you watching this get into it with me on Facebook because you guys bitch about how bad the lake is. And I get it. I know. It's not what it used to be. It's not. I get it. It's in horrible shape. But I feel like that's their plan, is make every year more and more people not want to come fish Lake Okeechobee, to the point where then people finally stop coming. And then it's like, well, listen, it's got no economical value to the state. No one even fishes out there anymore. Fill her in. And they can use it to literally just do nothing but hold water. And then there's no more complaints from the people on the coast. There's no hazardous water issues. There's no more meetings in Tallahassee. There's no more any of that. it all goes away. They could just hold the water there and do whatever they're going to do. I really think that's a plan in somebody's agenda, in someone's playbook up, in Tallahassee. Now, people might think I'm crazy or that's a conspiracy or something, but it makes sense. I mean, hell, if they had it their way, make no mistake about it, this thing would be filled with concrete and there'd be houses all over it. I mean, I want you guys to legitimately lay in bed tonight, go on your iPhone, if you live around South Florida, and zoom out and look at the coasts. I mean, look at how many houses and homes are there. I mean, really look at it. It's scary how many people live in South Florida and how tightly knit they are and how close each house is. I had a customer of mine who's a realtor, and he was telling me at the peak of the pandemic, there were 1,900 people a day moving to Florida. 1,900 a day. And you want to know where I bet you at least 800 of them a day were coming? Was to South Florida. I mean, look at Miami, look at Fort Lauderdale, look at Fort Myers, look at Cape Coral, look at Naples, look at West Palm Beach, look at Jupiter. I'm going back to snook fishing. I remember I used to not sleep, but fish all night in Jupiter. And after 9:30, you could fall asleep in the middle of the road on the bridge because there was no traffic, there was no cars, there was no one out and about. Now that place is the next West Palm Beach, and one of my best friends, I guess it's going on 12 years ago, moved to Port St. Lucie. That place was a ghost town. I mean, I don't want to say there was nothing there, but it was just awesome. You could fish wherever you wanted. You could park wherever you wanted. There was like no one there. It was such a quiet area. Now look at it. I mean, there's so many people moving to this state every day, and so many people just raising families and people staying in this state. They got to go central. They're coming from the beach and they're running out of room. We're seeing it here in this little town of Belglade I live in. The traffic's getting worse. They're coming, and this big thing right here takes up a lot of room. So I don't think they'd legitimately be able to fill it in, obviously. I don't know if they do that, but they're going to use it to hold water. The more driveways, the more streets, the more sidewalks they put in this state, the less soil, the less grass, the less natural ground to absorb that rainwater, and the more concrete where that rainwater hits and has to go somewhere, the more they're going to need to hold water. And what better place than the inland sea that is Lake Okeechobee? So sad to say, I don't want to be one of these negative people, but when it comes down to it, when it comes to big government, and I'm not one of these anti-government people, obviously, I'm not. But when it comes down to it, what are you going to do? There's really nothing we say or do, I feel like at this point matters. Because if it doesn't matter by now, when we're going to these meetings and we're sharing this on Facebook and sending these emails and having sit downs with people and trying to figure all this out, nothing's happening. And it's nothing happening on either side. This might catch a lot of slack, and that's fine. But those captains for clean water guys have been at this for years, trying to change certain things. They ain't done nothing. And it's not to their discredit. It's not that, I don't really know exactly what they do, but nothing's changing. State's going to do what they want, and it all comes down to money. And until someone gets in there in charge who's just a decent person and wants to do the right thing, maybe not the best economical thing for the state, but wants to just preserve these awesome resources that we have down here, nothing's going to change. What they need to get also, this is what I preach to people in these meetings. People don't necessarily come to fish Lake Okeechobee, Lake Kissimmee, Lake Toho, Lake Istapoga, Harris Chain. They don't come to these lakes just to catch 10-pound bass. And that's their argument. They say, well, there's still 10-pounders being caught. That's what's bringing people here. That's not true. You want to catch a 10-pounder, you go to Texas, right? That's for the most part, that's the deal. Texas is the best fishing state we have right now, hands down. I mean, they're catching 15-pounders every day. and you look at how Texas Parks and Wildlife manages their resources. There's a reason it's the best, because they know the importance of preserving that resource and the amount of people that come to that state every year to try and catch those giant bass. And they're doing a phenomenal job with it, and it shows. I feel like our Fish, Game, and Wildlife thinks, as long as, because I get interviewed, I got stopped today. People getting surveyed. How many bass did you catch? What boat ramp did you put in at? And did you, and I asked the guy today, I said, how many, did you talk to anybody that caught anything big? He said, no, you guys say you caught, I forget how many fish we caught. Wasn't very many. We lost some real big ones today, but everyone said it was slow. And I feel like that's important, because the numbers aren't going to lie that the fishing is tougher than it used to be. I know they got it statistically going over their data and their numbers, but where was I going? What I was going to say is, I feel like as long as they look and those tournament weights are still good, okay, and the big fish are being caught, that they're going to think, well, these people are going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming because there's big fish. Now, here's the deal. There's Joe Schmo who sits at home and doesn't really fish. Okay, he doesn't own a fishing rod, but he goes once a year. He'll go on a guided trip somewhere. People that don't know any better, correct. They're coming to Florida. Oh, we're going to go spend the weekend in Disney. You know what? I'm going to go book a trip to go try and catch a big Florida largemouth bass. There are those people, but the amount of growth in the sport of tournament bass fishing, it's almost like doubling every year, I feel like. I mean, the amount of money being put into the sport of tournament competitive bass fishing, whether it's in high school, college, the Toyotas, the BFLs, the Opens. Go to the Bassmaster Classic. Look at there's so much money in it. People are getting more involved in the tournament aspect of it. That's more my clientele. I feel like I get more people that actually fish, like own bass boats. They maybe fish tournaments, either semi-professionally or maybe just fish club tournaments. That's more or less my clientele. They're not coming here to try and catch a 10-pounder. Like a lot of these guys, I talk to them, like, where are you from? Oh, we're from Kentucky Lake. My personal best is an 11, and I've caught 2 or 3 more over 10. But they catch them on a 10XD. They catch them on an Alabama rig. They catch them dragging a Carolina rig. They come down to Florida to fish the grass. It's not what lives in the grass. It's what the fish live in. And that's what I try to talk to FWC about. I'm like, you guys don't understand. We're not the best fishery state anymore. We're not. It's not about what you're catching. It's about how you're catching it to a lot of these guys. These guys can go to their home lake and go catch 8s and 9s. They can go catch them dragging a big shaky head with an 11-inch bullworm, or they can go catch them on a scrounger on a ledge. They want to come down here and flip the hyacinth mats. They want to flip that 1-ounce jig in the buggy whips. They want to fish the Florida way. They want to catch them in the thick grass. They want to hear the braid squealing. They want to see the grass getting cut. That's the allure to our fishery. And I don't think the state gets that. So they just think, well, we can kill all the grass. As long as the fishing stays how it is, it's all going to be okay. And I really think that. And I try to preach that to them. Like, I have people that want to come down here to catch bass on a Big Easy. They want to buzz a Big Easy over pads or needle grass and watch a big one come up and crash it. I get people that come down here and say, all I want to do, when can I come down and flip mats? I just want to flip hydrilla. I want to flip hyacinth. I want to flip pennywort. I want to do that. We can't do it. And they might come from a lake where they catch giant fish on swim baits or something, but them catching a 4-pounder in a mat makes their life. I mean, they're so ecstatic about that because they got to hear that braid squeal. They got to flip an 1.5 ounce weight, and they don't get to do that at home. But again, the people in the suits in Tallahassee that are making these calls, they don't get that, nor do they care. And until they do get that, I don't know if anything's really going to change. And when I talk to them about that, they tell me I'm wrong. No, they're at the end of the day, they're here for the fish. No, they are, but They want to catch them a certain way. So that's my rant on that. We'll see. I don't want to be pessimistic and negative, but I'm just watching this lake go away. Now, I also am a firm believer in cycles. Hopefully, excuse me. No, that was disgusting. Hopefully, the lake cycles itself out. Mother Nature takes control. We get a drought. And like I said, I wouldn't mind if we couldn't even fish the lake for 8 months. If it was just bone dry. I mean, it was just almost impossible to navigate and run. I want that. Coming from a full-time guide who makes his living on Lake Okeechobee, I want that. It's good for the longevity of the lake. I could probably get out there and navigate a little bit. And that's what the lake needs. It's what it needs desperately. So, besides that, we're in transition right now. Like I just told you, today my trip was kind of slow. We lost 2 giants. Started the morning out, throwing a big easy. My customer, Zach, reeling it. Fish spooks off, comes back, shark said he kills it. Just line jumps. She starts mowing off with it, sets the hook and airballs it. Don't know what happened. Fish never got the hook. And then he lost another one between 6 and 7 on a swim jig. We caught a 4.5. Things are changing. We just came off this full moon in March, and the bluegill guys were here. Okay, me and Kelly always jokes, we don't got to go look around for bluegill. You'll know when the bluegill are here because the aluminum guys show up. We get people from South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, Georgia that all flock to Clewiston with aluminum boats around the full moons to catch shellcracker and bluegill. Really for the next 3 months. And they were here, but I don't think they really did very well. I don't think these bluegill, we didn't have a push of bluegill yet. Sometimes we will on the March full moon, but everything has to line up, and it just didn't line up this week for it. But I think these fish are starting to, things are changing. I'm not trying to give up too much information. I'm on the lake every day, and I think that's really going to possibly help me come to Toyota. So I don't want to say too much, but these fish are in transition. That's another reason why it's been tough. Obviously, everything else I just mentioned is making it tough as well. But at the end of the day, these fish are also in a transition time. But I think things are setting up to be the way they need to be. Come spring, end of March, April, the lake is dropping. She's still over 15 foot, which is entirely too high. I'd love it to start with a 13, and then I'll get happy. That's what we need. She's on her way there. They're dropping water. We're not getting rain, but we'll see. It took, what was it? King of the Glades. It took 31 pounds. Ronnie Buck, he clean swept it. He had just under 25 on Saturday. And then Sunday, he had 31. So one Saturday and Sunday, big fish both days, both side pots, clean house. Ronnie Buck and Ronnie Buck Jr. So awesome for them. Cool to see. No one saw them. No one knows where they're at least anyone I talked to. I'm sure somebody saw them. So very curious to see how they caught them fish, or eventually I'll hear about it. But that's pretty good to see. Trying to think what we caught. Nothing really spectacular or anything crazy's happened over the past couple of weeks for me out there on the water. Just some random big ones. Had a guy catch 9.5 the other day. Going back to details matter. I was running a trip with my buddy DJ Timms. A lot of you know who he is. I recommend a lot of trips, you guys to him if I'm ever booked. And he was fishing. He fishes very slow. And he was fishing right behind me, and he was catching them. And we were throwing just Senkos. And he texted me. He said, throw it weightless. It has to be weightless. Now, where we were fishing, we're dragging bottom. I had an 1/8 ounce weight. I lied. I had an 1/8 ounce, and my customer had a 16th ounce weight. And I said, the weight doesn't matter. It's the weight's so small it don't matter. Dragging the bottom, not getting gunk, not getting any nasty stuff on the worm when we're dragging it. And finally, I just said, oh, what the hell? We're not getting bit. I end up cutting my line and throwing it weightless. I swear to you, second cast, I catch a 7.5. All right? Nuts. So my customer cuts his off and he catches one that was 9.5. Was it a coincidence? Very possibly, but I don't know. But it seems like lately, because of the way the lake's shaping up and because it's been very pressured, details matter. I was explaining that to my customers today. Like, when it comes to just presentation has been a lot more important lately, I believe, because of all the pressure. But that was a big fish. I mean, a nine. I mean, sets the hook. The thing starts stripping drag. I'm like, what the hell did you hook? I grabbed that fish. I was like, holy hell. He's like, that's my personal best, I think. Giant, giant fish. So that was pretty cool. That's kind of been the highlight over the past. That was last Thursday. So it was a Thursday before I was supposed to fish with Breezy. So pretty cool. Other than that, that's about it. I don't really even know what else to talk about. It's been, yeah, I think I started to talk, or maybe it was, I don't know, maybe I started this podcast and talked for like 4 minutes before and restarted it. I didn't like where it was going. So, had a lot of questions about like guiding, and I've been meaning to get back to a lot of people. So I apologize if I haven't gotten back to you yet about it. But a lot of people just like, what does it entail? Do you love it? Man, it's because I've been so busy. I've been really thinking about it a lot, because you may love fishing like I do, but there's a big difference in having to go and wanting to go. And that's kind of what it's been like for me. I tell all my customers, like, in the mornings, well, either way, I hate my job the first hour of my morning. I'm not a morning person. Wake up, I look in the mirror, I say, this isn't it for me. I made a bad career choice. I need to start looking. There's other jobs. I can go make good money doing other things. I just got to put my head down and find something I like. And I'm putting ice in the boat, and I'm like, what else can I go do? What other job opportunities are out there? And then I get to the boat ramp, I launch my boat, and I meet my customers. We get in the boat and we're idling out, and I'm like, this is the greatest job in the world. I absolutely love it. With that being said, I don't think I could ever get sick of my job. I love it. I absolutely love it. I get sick of it in the morning, and then I get sick of it when you get home. And this is what I try to explain to a lot of these younger kids that are asking me. I've been getting a lot of questions on it. Like, I want to be a guide. It's not, when you're doing it, it's what you think it is. Okay. It's fun. People are excited. Okay. They're on the lake. They're not at work. They're having a great time. Maybe it's their dream trip. Maybe they catch their personal best. Everything's great. But it's everything before and afterwards. It's waking up early every morning. It's doing the right thing. I live 6 minutes from Torrey Island Boat Ramp, but I'd say I only fish out of there 25% of the time. Sometimes I have to go an hour to Harney Pond or an hour to the north end because it's the right thing to do. It's where the fish are. It's where these people have the best opportunity, in my opinion, to catch not only a bunch of fish, but some big fish. And is it war and fuel? Absolutely. Is it earlier morning? Is it more wear and tear on your rig? Absolutely. But it's all about doing the right thing. That's why I started guiding. I treat every morning like I'm going fishing for myself. What would I do? If I had the day off, where would I go and what would I do and why? And I ask myself that every afternoon when I get off the water for the next day's the next trip. And I feel like that's very important. And I feel like customers see that, but it's not always easy. I feel like it always equals out, right? Like when the fish are down here and if I have a trip at 6:30, I can wake up at 6. That's great. All right. And that does happen. But then when the weather changes, you got it's an hour drive. It's a lot of fuel. It's hitting traffic. It's having blowouts on your trailer. It's stopping, being late because you got to fix a flat tire. It's switching and rigging rods. It's especially, I don't know. It's a lot more like, what's the word? Tedious work than you would think. It's not necessarily hard work, but here's the deal. This is what I tell people. Go fish a 3-day tournament. All right. You guys hear these guys on the elites and stuff tell you how physically tough it is. If you make the fourth day on these tournaments, you practice for 3 days, then you're out there for 4 straight days. I mean, you're beat. You're mentally beaten. Your anxiety's high. You're standing on your feet. It's a lot. Now try doing that for 2 months. Um, it does wear on you. You are tired, which that's not what I'm bitching about. But it's just one of those things I tell people, like, make sure you really want to do it. And if you do it right, it's a lot of work. Um, and it's everything afterwards. It's coming home and knowing you have to clean the boat. All right. So you come home, you're cleaning the boat. You organize the boat. Every day is different. If we caught them flipping a jig and throwing a frog on the outside, well, tomorrow we got a cold front coming. Perfect example, like today. We were throwing a swim jig. It was, then the wind started, and now tomorrow it's supposed to be colder and a north wind. Conditions are totally changing. So now it's like re-rigging, taking the frog and the jig off and putting the chatterbait and the speed worms on and having everything ready for your next day's trip. Making sure everything's up to par. Another thing is boats are expensive, right? I don't even know why I'm going off on this tangent, but I am. All these guys like, man, boat break out another 1,000. That's all fine and dandy, and it's true. But that's when you're fishing twice a month. Imagine doing it every day, maintaining your boat, keeping up on maintenance. My boat's 2 years old. I've got 600 hours on it already. The wear and tear. It's a lot. And again, it's if you do it right. The better job you do, the more work it is, if that makes sense. And sometimes I catch myself being lazy, and that's not what you want to do. Like those days where if that's why I don't snook fish the night before a trip. Snook fishing is one of those things where I leave the house at 7 at night, and sometimes I'm like, well, the good tide, I want to fish from 10 to midnight, so I'll be in bed at 1. And then next thing you know, you're in bed at 4. And then I'm lazy the next day. I'm tired. I'm not sharp. I like being sharp on my trips where I roll into an area and after 10 minutes, if I just look around, I'm like, guys, let's go. I don't like it. Sometimes that decision might take me 30 minutes if I'm groggy, if I'm tired, and I don't like being like that. Again, I treat every trip like it's a tournament. Like, what would I do? And that's not always right. But at least I know I did everything in my power and did everything that I would do to put this customer on hopefully the trip of a lifetime. The other thing you got to realize is, I mean, it is a lot of work. It's fun work though, because I like tinkering with stuff, but I like tinkering with things in my off time. It's like when I get off the water, I come home, I mow the yard, we eat dinner, and then it's like Breezy's going to bed. We put the baby down. She's going to bed, and I say, well, I got to go re-spool 3 reels, and I got to tie a rattle trap on and change out the hooks on some traps, and we're going to be throwing a spook, or like you got it, and then you're sitting out there doing it. Then it's fun work, but when you have to do it, it does make it different. So just be aware of that. Some people don't get that. And then my donkey's going nuts outside. There was something else I was just going to talk about too. Oh, being a people person. That's the biggest thing you are. And that's what I tell people. You're entertaining people is what your job is, because the fishing's not always going to be great. What people have to understand, and a lot of customers fail to understand, is just because you're booking a guide does not mean you're going to have an amazing fishing day. Guides are just people. We're just people. All right. And when it comes down to it, there are days where these fish are just shut down. They're just not going to bite. Or maybe they are biting, but your guide just doesn't make the right decisions that day. And you can't blame your guide on that because, well, then don't book a guide. Go do it yourself if you're better. You can't tell me you don't have bad days where you go left when you should have went right. Guides are no different. And that's what I tell people. And most people get that. But at the end of the day, also, you got to make the trip enjoyable. I have a lot of customers that go with guides and they have a great fishing day. They catch big fish, but they're like, man, but he was just a bummer to be in the boat with. This guy, he was grumpy. He was not fun. He didn't joke around. You got to be a people person. You cannot get into this job because you love fishing. If you don't like people, it's not the deal. It's not. And I get along with everybody. I consider myself a people person. I love talking to different people. That's my favorite part about the job is just the people I meet. And if you're not going to take that anything, if that any part of that doesn't interest you at all, then this is definitely not the profession to get into. Um, I get asked a lot about it. Like, do you ever get sick of it? It's like, well, no, because it is different. Like, the lake's the lake. Like, I know what to expect. I know what's, like that part of it's kind of the same for me. But I have a guy from Woodford Reserve on the boat. What do you do? Oh, you do. Oh, that's cool. What? Tell me about it. And like, a lot of these guys don't like to. They're coming on this trip to get away from work, but not as much. Even, I don't always talk about what they do for a profession, but fishing. Where do you fish at home? What do you fish for? Oh, you fish for salmon. Oh, wow. We don't even have salmon. How do you fish for them? This, that. Do you deer hunt? I mean, I don't deer hunt. I do a little bit. I'm just now getting into it, but I just like hearing what people food. Like, I could talk about anything. Obviously, I'm sitting here talking to a camera for 45 minutes by myself in my living room, but that's the coolest thing. But there's some people that they could care less. Like, I'll be at the tiki bar eating lunch, and I'm like, man, my guy today, he owns a pizza shop, and he's like, why do you give a shit about that? Why do you care about pizza? Well, I don't know. I care about anything. Like, I just like hearing. I like learning. Again, I'm a podcast guy. I'm a big Joe Rogan guy. That's why, because it's so random, and you just hear so much random information, and I love it. But again, if that doesn't interest you, it might not be the job for you. It's you're carrying on a conversation for either 4, 6, or 8 hours with people, trying to entertain them, trying to keep them upbeat, trying to make them have a good time, even if the fishing isn't cooperative. And anyone can have a great time when the fish are biting, but there's going to be more days where they're not than they are. And then when you get home, when you put that boat on the trailer, strap it down, and get in that truck, you're zonked for the day. And you just, like I told my guys today, like, it was windy, it got real nasty, and I said, yeah, I got to be out here again tomorrow. You got to go. So that's what I mean. The difference is you got to go. And a lot of these people learn real quick that there's a big difference. Like, man, this must be great. You get to go fishing every day. It is. But it is different when you have to go versus when you want to go. Because you always want to go now because you're working a regular job. So on your off day, you want to go fishing. But when you fish 38 days in a row, again, I still want to go. But I'm not truly going fishing. I'm taking someone else fishing. So that's the thing. Like, you're truly, people say, oh, you get to go fishing every day. No, like, fishing to me is different. If when I go fishing, I might flip that 3/4 ounce jig all day and might catch 2 fish all day, but that's fine because I got to fish the way I want to fish. I usually can't take people to go do that on a paid trip because there's a chance you may not get a bite. I got to take you to where you can catch fish and what's going on. And that's kind of the same thing with tournament fishing. I always tell people when I have fish figured out, if I say, man, I've got a school of fish, they're schooling in this boat lane, I'm catching them on a 1/2 ounce trap, and then I'm leaving there and I'm going over here and throwing a chatterbait and I'm bouncing back and forth from those 2 places and I'm been good for like 23 pounds. I've got that for a tournament that's coming up and I've got that for guide trips. So there's days where I have off where I just bring my 2 flipping rods and that's all I'm doing. And I don't even go to those fish. I've got them figured out. I don't need to figure anything out. They're there. I just want to catch them the way I want to catch them. And I might go out there and not catch anything. I might not even get a bite. But that's what I truly enjoy is fishing the way that I want to fish. Now, when it comes to a tournament, I'm going to do what I have to do. But, there's differences. But, yeah, I guess that's about it. It's me rambling about stuff you guys probably don't want to hear. I'm trying to do some, like I said, some slightly different videos again. I just, when I can, the spring's coming. I'm going to try and fit in a couple of pier episodes, branch out and do some different stuff. There's some stuff that I don't want to jinx it, but should start to happen here in the next couple weeks, pier fishing wise, which is pretty awesome. And it's like my favorite time to go do it. And it's stuff I could possibly squeeze out after work. If I'm ready, if I have a short day, I can get home, drop the boat off, get there, set up, and do it if the conditions line up. I'm going to try and show you guys that. Go try to catch some big kingfish or some giant jacks off the pier. It's all going to be after the Toyota, though. Sole focus right now, I'm slowly just getting my mindset ready for this Toyota. I'm trying not to psych myself out, though. I told my customers today, I think I just got to fish it. Like, it's just a tournament, just another tournament. Bass Busters, Toyota Series, it's no different. It's a tournament. The rules are the same. Playing field, or the competition's bigger. That doesn't necessarily mean it's better. That's what's funny. Like, man, you're going to be fishing against them. No, I'm not. The best fishermen on the lake fish Bass Busters. They fish the local ABAs. They fish Roland Martin's Marine Series. There's 260 boats in the Toyota, but 20% of them are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying they're probably better anglers than me overall. They're probably better. They're great anglers. A lot of them. They're well-rounded. They travel. They're fishing to here. They have experience here. They have experience in this state. In this state, they won one here. They got a third place here. They're more well-rounded, but that's not who I'm worried about. I'm worried about the locals on this lake. That's the stiffest competition. Now, with that being said, a non-local will probably win the damn thing because they'll fish open-minded and stuff like I've said before, but you never know. Now, there is I know a lot of the locals are fishing in this Toyota. A lot of them. Chris Sherling's fishing it. I think Bradley McQueen's fishing it. I believe Jesse Mizell, Gary Milicevic, I believe. All the hammers are fishing in this too, I believe. So that's kind of what I'm worried about. The 260 boat thing doesn't concern me whatsoever. It just doesn't. The only reason it concerns me is because it's going to make the lake fish small and crowded. Not because those 259 other boats are stiffer competition. It's just going to make moving around harder. Now, I guarantee you 100, a lot of, like I said, those local guys, they're going to, because I really think this tournament's setting up for a local to win. I just think so. It's setting up like that last one Brandon Medlock won. And he's another one if he's fishing it. I mean, holy shit. The guy's won like 5 Toyotas on the lake or something. He's the Toyota GOAT. And it's setting up for him, which is good because that means it's setting up for the way I like to fish. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to do better than a lot of these people. Like, I like to flip a jig. Well, guess what Brandon Medlock likes to do? And guess what Brandon Medlock's very good at? Someone like him, Gary. Guess what Gary likes to do? Guess what Gary Milicevic is very good at? Setting up for bluegill. My buddy Chris Sherling's fishing this tournament. He's one of the best frog fishermen on the lake, setting up for him, if not the best frog fisherman on the lake. So, quick shameless plug, if you ever need anything looked at on your boat, motor, whatever, lake and sea, mobile marine, check him out. That's Chris Sherling. That's who does all my boat service and everything. And knock on wood, haven't had a single issue with my motor. He does a great job. So That's the deal. I mean, it's going to be, if it's bluegill time, what I foresee happening, if the bluegill, if we get gills, if the bluegills show up, if the bluegills show up and the water cleans up, if the lake starts opening up where there's a lot more clean water available for 3 days, over 80 pounds. That's what I see. It wouldn't surprise me if you hit 90 in 3 days. Like, just because, and this is, like I said, if everything goes 100% perfect, because so much of the lake hasn't been fished. The fish are still there. All right, they're living in that mud chocolate soup water. I just don't know how to get them to eat, but they're there. If all that stuff starts cleaning up, them fish are unpressured, right? There's certain areas opening up. I found areas today that have been chocolate soup for 6 months that were a little bit clean, and I could see beds on the bottom. And I told my guy, I'm like, look, they were bedding in here. They've been bedding in here. You just couldn't fish them for months. And that's what I mean. The fish are there. So, like, I think if things start to clean up, the water keeps plummeting, dropping, and things line up. I mean, you could see 30 a day, and it would come from someone swinging for the fence. I'm not, like a Brandon Medlock, um, uh, Gary, Chris Sherling, hopefully Cody Davis, something like that. And I think if the bluegills set up, it'll be a local dominated tournament. I really think so. Brad, I mean, I feel like the only thing Bradley McQueen throws is a frog. Also, that's another channel I'll plug. My buddy Bradley McQueen, check him out on YouTube. He's a hammer. He catches them. If you like throwing a frog, check out his videos. He's got some badass frog clips and stuff on YouTube. So definitely check him out. He's in it, I believe. He does very well. He got a top 10 in one here years ago. So it's just one of them things, man. I think if it sets up that way, here's the deal. Here's what I'm going to say. If it sets up bluegill wise, over 80 pounds to win the event. If it sets up high water, mucky community hole still, I'm going to say 55 pounds, and a local won't win it. It'll be one like throwing a drop shot in a dynamite hole by a guy live scoping or something. Not for real. That's what I think is going to happen. It's a hard on. It could be off by this much, and it could be a completely different tournament. So I'm hoping it goes the other way. Now, that could also mean that I get my teeth kicked in, but that's the way I like to fish. If I can go out there and just fish the way I like to fish and have fun, it sucks. You go out there and you're like, man, I don't even like doing this. This is what I have to do, not what I want to do. And you suck and you don't get a check. And you're just like, well, that wasn't fun. But if I can go out there and do what I want to do and enjoy what I'm doing, and then even if I get my teeth kicked, it's like, oh, well, I got to do what I wanted to do. And felt confident that it was the right thing to do. That'd be awesome. So I'll be practicing. I'll probably it depends how practice goes. I mean, I'm going to hopefully not, I'm not going to practice too much. I don't want to have too much. Scott Martin said it on his last, his little 2020 video the other day. Like, it's not how you fish Okeechobee most of the time. I don't want to have too much. I don't want to be running over here, running over there. But I've never fished a 3-day event before. I never have. Well, it's technically 2 if I get lucky and make the 3rd day. And I've never fished a field this big. So this is where I got to kind of think a little bit different than I typically do. An 80 to 100 boat tournament is a much different than a 260. I mean, I'm going to need a couple of areas for backup, and I'm also going to need, I think it's going to be a deal where I'm going to have a zone like this spot. This is my spot, but I need a spot where that's another spot off of that spot where I can crank up and run for 30 minutes and possibly get one kicker bite and then come back if the lake's shaping up small. Because 260 boats, man. I mean, and I know how these guys are. They fish somewhere for 10 minutes. It ain't right. They haul ass. They come back. They leave. They go. They come back. They do a loop around. I mean, they spin out. And I don't want to spin out. I just want to fish calm, collective. And I also just want to enjoy it. I always joke, and a lot of you fishing that have fished with me know, I'm famous for picking up a rod on a guide trip, making 3 casts, and catching a 7-pounder. And I hate doing that because I want my customers to catch it. But what it comes down to is I'm fishing loose, all right? Or even if a customer asks me to fish with them, right? They say, hey, man, no, like I want you to fish. Like pick up a rod. I swear I don't care if you catch big ones. I want to learn from you. You fish. We're fishing. I'm concentrating enough where I know I need to keep this customer in the juice, right? Like if I get a hint of I don't think I'm really feeling this, we got to go, because don't be lazy. Don't be like, we'll stay. No, this is this customer's time. He's paying me his hard-earned money. We got to make the most of it. We got to go. I'm not feeling it, this or that. I'm just aware of that, but I take my time. We fish an area. We're talking. And what guiding's shown me is like if you just sit back and as long as you're confident in the area and you just enjoy fishing and have fun, it's going to happen. And I'm a firm believer that when it's your time, it's your time. And I really try to tell myself that more and more anymore when it's fishing tournaments. You gotta do the homework. You gotta do the preparation. But if it's your time, it's your time, and just enjoy it. Like try not to get worked up. Try not to put too much pressure on yourself. Like for me, I never thought in a million years I'd get to fish a Toyota Series. I never thought I'd get to fish a BFL when I was a kid. And then I got to a point where I fished a BFL and, fishing these Roland Martin Marine Series tournaments. Like I look back at the first year I fished it. And then, every day when I'm coming out here to watch TV, I look at that, that glass trophy or the second place check. I'm like, damn, dude. Like, I mean, got second. I mean, me and Kelly almost won the damn classic, and we had the bites to potentially win it. I mean, it's like, it's just crazy to me. Like, man, like I'm fishing a Toyota, and it's like, yes, I want to win, but everyone wants to win. But I'm just thankful that like, holy crap, like I am confirmed to fish a Toyota Series on my home lake. And I know a lot of these bass guys, they're going to be sitting there in their Phoenixes or their Bass Cats or their new boat with their 3 graphs on, their 3 graphs on the front, their live scope, their this, their wrapped rig, their, their jerseys on, sitting there with just the poker face, like intimidator ready to go. And that's just what they do, right? It's an ego sport, and that's cool. And they're like, yeah, man, I'm gonna win. I'm on them. I'm this. I'm that. I shook off 68 pounds in practice off 3 reeds, and that's just not how I'm approaching this tournament. I'm gonna do my homework, but I just want to take it in. Like I want to enjoy this. It's something I never thought I'd ever get to do. I mean, like I said, thank you. I tell Breezy once a week, like, I can't believe I'm fishing a Toyota. I mean, you got to remember, she was fishing them. She was doing it. I mean, her goal was to try and fish professionally. She wanted to be the first woman to hold up a Forrest Wood Cup trophy, and she was on her way. She was doing it, and then life happened, and now she just kind of sit back and she was not. I mean, that was her Christmas present to me, and she did have some help. And shout out to I don't know, like I think I told you before, Mike Krause for pitching in for some entry fee and everything. And like, this is like, it's so cool to me. Like, yeah, like I feel like I'm blessed that I get to fish it, but I just try not to take it too serious. It's like right now, it's like I'm babying my boat. I don't want anything to break before then. But if I could just go out and fish and have fun and enjoy the experience and not break anything, it'll be a win. Obviously, I want to win, but I don't want to just, I don't want to look back on it and be like, damn, like I sucked and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun. I worried too much about it. Just want to go with the flow and do it. And I feel like more people need to do that. It's like in a tournament, we all take it serious. We all fish to win, but there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can do in a tournament, right? Control the controllables. Like Kelly always says, I can't control that. Can't control the weather. Why are you bitching about the weather? You can't control it. It sucks. Yeah, but stop. You're wasting positive energy worrying about something that you could have. You could be Jeff Bezos and you can't fix the weather. You can't fix the dirty water. The water got dirty. Stop bitching. I mean, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't do it. So control the controllables, and then just make sure your knots are tight or you're clean. Make sure your line's not frayed. Make sure your hooks are sharp, and go fishing. And I feel like we all want to win, but if you're not having fun, the reason we do it is because it's fun, right? We all enjoy it. We all want to go out because it's what we love, and we want to have fun doing it. So if you're not having fun, you're probably not going to win, and you're just missing the whole concept. And when it comes down to it, like we could be, like Gerald Swindle always says, you could be overseas fighting a war. We could be, we could be at a funeral for a loved one. We could be dealing with who knows what. And everyone's got stuff going on in their lives, but at that moment, like you're fishing. You're in you're in a boat, a running boat that's running good enough that you entered a tournament, whether it's a $60 club tournament or an $1,800 Toyota Series. You're in a piece of equipment that's working good enough that you felt confident to pay an entry fee to go out and try to gamble and win some money. You're holding rods and reels. You're fishing with new tackle, and you're on a lake fishing. I had a customer the other day, and I can't remember his name. I want to say his name was Jeff, but I could be wrong. If you're watching, bud, you're from Portland, Oregon. And he told me the simplest line, and I've been thinking about it every day since, and it's just made it so much easier. It's like, if you want to be happy, be thankful. If you want to be happy, be thankful. Like, every day I wake up, it's like, be thankful you woke up. You don't have to wake up. There's people that didn't wake up today. I go out to my truck, I turn my key, my truck's running. There's people that don't have a running truck. I just walked out of my house. There's people homeless on the street. There's people living in conditions we could never even dream of. There's people losing their homes. I walked out of my house. I just left my wife, who I'm married to, I love more than anything, and my son's in the room next door. They're healthy, they're happy, and I'm going to work. And when I say I'm going to work, I'm going to fish on the Lake Okeechobee with great people and hopefully catch them personal best. Like, I'm thankful for all that. And it's so easy anymore to just like, oh, this boat's a piece of shit. This Mercury blew up on me. Well, be thankful that you have a boat. Be thankful that you have the money or in the financial position that you bought that boat. And you probably have the finance. You're probably able, or it's insured or with warranty. It's going to get fixed. Just always be like, it could always be worse is what it comes down to. And I try to tell everybody that, like, hey man, it could be like, you set the hook on an 8-pounder in a tournament and it comes up and jumps off, and it's like, man, you want to break your rod and do this and do that. Someone just died in a car accident. You lost an 8-pounder. You're on a beautiful lake fishing, and it meant a lot to you, but hey, you could have just gotten a car wreck. You could have just, so many worse things are out there and can happen. And like I say all the time, like Kelly always told me, like, when you lose a big one, maybe when you get home that night and you're drinking some bourbon, yeah, you might say, damn, I can't believe I lost that fish. But in the moment, you're doing a job, right? You're out there to win. You want to win. That's why you're in the tournament. You complaining that fish jumped off, the fish is gone. Again, you could be Jeff Bezos, you could be Elon. Nothing's fixing that. That fish is in the water, going about, doing his business, figuring out what happened. You can cry about it, whine about it, but that 10 to 15 minutes that you're going to sob over that fish and not fish correctly is 15 minutes you're not going to be making good precise decisions, which could enable you to catch a 10-pounder. And it's man, that's why I just preach that this game is so mental. Everything about this game is mental. And the I don't know if I told this story or not, but I'm gonna close with this. And I doubt he's watching, but going back to the mental side of bass fishing, I was at Santee Cooper Lake. Breezy was fishing a Toyota. It was cold as hell in the morning, and it was day 2. And no, I'm sorry, it was day 3. They canceled day 2. Everyone fished day 3. I woke up, I had a t-shirt on and jeans, and I drove to the ramp, dropped Breezy in, watched her take off, and I was with Breezy's mom, or my mother-in-law came with us. And I watched her take off. I'm freezing. I look like hell. I'm tired. And Mark McGraw walks up to me and he says, "Hey man, what are you doing today?" I said, "I'm getting ready to take my mother-in-law home to this house and I am going back to bed." And he said, "Oh, that's a shame." He said, "Cody Nichols is over there and his co-angler didn't show up today. And he's leading angler of the year. And if he wins angler of the year, he qualifies to fish the tour next year." And I said, "Well, I said politely, basically like, yeah, that sucks, man." And then and he wasn't over there. He was right there looking at me. So here's this, he's my age, guy looking at me. And I said, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, my co-angler just didn't show up." How do I say no? So I said, "I got to get my mother-in-law home." Mark said, "Give me the keys to your truck. I will drive your mother-in-law to your Airbnb. I'll drive her home." And what do I do? I'm stuck. I said, "You got a sweatshirt and a life jacket for me?" And Cody said, "Yep." And I'll never forget, I get in this Bullet. It was a 2018 Bullet. Get in it. And any of you that have been to Santee Cooper, we take off. I'll never forget, we're going through the channel at like 67, passing Rangers, right? And we're doing like 67. I'm like, damn, this boat, this Bullet rides. I'd never been in a Bullet before. And I'll never forget, I look over at him and he's smacking a thing of Copenhagen, puts a dip in and reaches over and goes, "Are you ready to go?" And he had that Bullet doing like 83 and a half going over to Moultrie. And stands up, and I'll never forget, he opened up his rod locker, and he had 2 Lew's spinning reels with yellow braid and 2 spinning rods. And he opened up that big old, excuse me, big old storage compartment in the center. And he had, a pack or 2 of Senkos, a spool of like 10-pound fluorocarbon, and 2 packs of wacky worm hooks. That's all he had in the boat. And I said, "You travel pretty light, huh?" He said, "This is what got me here." I forget what place he was in, but he said, "This is all I got bid on in practice." He's from Alabama. This dude's a flipper. He's a this, is that. He said, "So I'm going to just do what works. I don't want to get distracted." So I'm like throwing a wacky rig out the back of the boat on his other rod or something. I don't know. And he rolls up to a tree, throws in there, catches like a 7-pounder, a big one. Scoops in the net. I lay it in the floorboard. He already picks the trolling motor up, puts the full tag in the fish, puts it in the box. He goes, "Let's go to this one." Go to the next tree, make a run like 2 minutes, lay down, skips it up there, catches like a 3-pounder. And I'm like, "All right, dude, there you go, And then he trolls around and he said, "I hope this one's still here." And he skips the worm under this tree, gets the bite, sets the hook. And when it came up, I thought it was a carp. And it jumped. And it was, we'll call it 9. It may have been bigger. It was a freaking monster. And it, he just calm as can be. And it just, pink, breaks him off. And I'm in the back of the boat that was a 10-pounder. I don't know. It was huge. And he just reels up, feels his fluorocarbon leader, ties a new bait on, and he asks me a question. He said something about I don't remember if it was about the fish, because I was blacked out. I couldn't believe he just broke that fish off. And I said, "Dude, that." He goes, "Yeah, that's what lives here. That was a big one." And he just stands up and like nothing happened and started fishing. And It dawned on me about 10 minutes after that. I told him, I said, hey, man, you got this. I said, you got this thing locked up. The fact that you just shook that off and just are fishing like that did not just happen. You got it. It's going to happen. And I think he caught 25 pounds with me that day, and he won Angler of the Year, and he fishes the I don't know if he fishes. He fished the tour for 2 or 3 years after. I don't know if he still does. Cody Nichols. I mean, he got second here on Okeechobee. Great guy. I mean, I run into him at ICAST and shoot the shit with him. Awesome. But just I never forget watching that. Just like that dude just broke off a freaking monster. And he may have been dying inside, but it ain't gonna matter. It's not going to matter if I freak out right now or not. And that was so cool to be in a boat and watch somebody like accomplish their dream. You know, he won Angler of the Year and he fished the tour, like won whatever he won, like 5 or 8 grand or something, but he got to fish the tour and super cool. But that goes back to the mental side. Now, if he would have spun out, who knows what would have happened? Oh, that's it. I lost the tournament. Starts fishing bad. He's complaining, not paying attention, gets a bite. His line's wrapped around a root of a cypress tree. So it breaks off another one, totally spins out. It's all about just staying calm, cool, collective, and just doing your job. So, I don't know. That was pretty cool. So, that's about it. We're like an hour and a long time in. That was a lot of rambling, a lot of ranting. Follow me on social media. We're going to wrap this up so I can go to bed. I got to get out there and fish tomorrow. Hopefully the wind dies down. Follow me on social, Tight Splice Charters on Facebook and on Instagram, or you can follow my personal account on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Cody Davis. I post a lot of stuff like maybe that I just catch, saltwater pictures and stuff. I don't really post that too much on my. I might start though on my guide page. Any questions you guys have, feel free to text me, or you can leave them in the comments, and I'll try to read them and go over them maybe in the next podcast. I believe the next video is that you guys are going to see. The next video I'm going to tell you right now, the next video you guys are going to see is going to be fishing related. Whether it's the Toyota practice or if I'm able to sneak out and do something different, just go fun fish in a ditch and catch clown knife fish or go try to pull on some snook. That next one will be fishing related. So if you don't see anything until the Toyota, wish me luck. And hopefully we bring home the win on that deal. But I appreciate you guys watching. I greatly appreciate just all the positive feedback. I know it sounds like a broken record, but I honestly and truly do appreciate all the kind words all of you say, that you guys enjoy the little podcast and the videos and how my videos have helped you, and that's super cool to me. So keep watching. And I'm going to try and once I slow down here in April, I'm going to try to pump out a video a week at least. That's the goal. So be safe out there. Enjoy Lake Okeechobee. Try to spread the positive word about preserving this resource and that the lake needs help. Definitely do that. And I don't know, go out there and don't be afraid to set the hook hard and turn the handle, Randall. I'll see you guys on the next one, and I appreciate you guys watching.